5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Make sure you do. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye. Hello. Welcome along. It's that time of the week again. It's Friday. It's 7 o'clock. It's not crackerjack, but it is the back pages. What do you think we've actually got? So the only news that we're actually waiting for is the new manager. The season starts. Well, the season doesn't start tomorrow, but football is back tomorrow. We've got a live pre-season game against Peterborough. Whoop whoop. That's it's technically behind closed doors because it's at Seagrave, so I don't think anybody can get in to watch it. But do not worry. You can join us here on LTID TV because we are covering that with a live watch-along tomorrow from 11:30. We'll have a preview before the game, half-time analysis, and then a post-match reaction straight after the game. We're not probably going to be having a lot to talk about, but we'll be able to see one or two things and possibly assess Andy King as well. And I'm going to say it's going to be a chance to say good evening or good afternoon, as it will be, to Reese and his uncle Clibbo. That sounds like a very, very, very 50s double act, doesn't it? Reese and Uncle Clibbo. You know those lighters you can get? What are those lighters called? Oh, I can't think what they're called, but I don't know why I'm doing that, as if that helps you. But you know those that you go, that Clippo. I think they were Clippo. But it's Uncle Clibbo and Reese. They'll be joining us post-match with the normal crowd of Tom Wayne and myself. Thank you for joining in. We've got a little bit of news to get through. I have sort of discovered the Zambian Evening News for some news. And do join in with the comments down the side panel. If you're watching it on catch-up, gracias penis, as the Spanish say, or thanks cock. And we will add your comments below. Even though it's after the show, it's always a pleasure to read them. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, whatever that may be, thank you very much for lending me your ears. And I do apologise, I had a bit of a burp there. I have been it's so hot here, I've been knocking Coke back like you wouldn't believe. And obviously the bubbles have to go somewhere. And I suppose they are better up than down. Geordie's in, away the lads. Hiya, Geordie, how you doing? Valtieri, good evening to you, sir. Good. And Clipper Lighters, yes. Clipper, that's it. I said Clippo. That wasn't bad. I've not smoked for 20 years. I've just eaten a lot of chocolate. It is the back pages. Let's get in with it. Let's make a start. We'll get Wayne in and let's have a look what's happening down Filbert Way. And don't forget, if you like the show, please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and click that notification bell, and you'll never miss another show because they're all over the place during the off season. Clipper, that was it. Wayne, Clipper lighters.
Not a smoker, Chris, but I remember the kids having them. Always handy.
And you could go in and you could have any colour you wanted.
Yes.
I always used to go for the blue one for some reason.
Hey.
Who knew? Who knew? You know. But yes.
Did your cigarettes light just that little bit better?
They did. They did indeed. And I tell you, the thing was with the Clipper lighters, if your mum or your dad discovered that that you might be smoking, you could just drop them in the down the drain as you're walking home or something. But there we go. How are you feeling, Wayne? Oh, I've got to say, if anybody missed it yesterday, there was a great discussion. It's on the Leicester Till I Die YouTube. We had Locks in from Blue Tinted Glasses and Ash in from the Wednesday week talking about Danny Roll, why he should be the new manager, and also obviously with Ash what he thought of him as a manager. And it won't be a surprise to you. Well, it was a surprise to me because remember when I did a poll a few weeks ago, and the majority of those that expressed an opinion said Sean Dyche. They prefer Sean Dyche. Well, yesterday it was 66% for Roll, 27% for Dyche, and 5% for another, which comes to 98%. So I don't actually quite get that, but that's what YouTube threw at me. So quite a majority for Roll. Is he still your thought?
Yeah, he is definitely. He always has been, Chris, and he still is. I do think he's a brilliant manager. His in-game tactics, he can change in-game. And I do I know, like, School of Pep, etc., etc., but a lot of modern managers like Red Bull Group and different people, they, as long as they learn from somebody decent and they look at things in a fresh approach, in a more modern way, I think, he's a great manager. I'd love him to be announced. In fact, I really thought he would be before the end of today, to be honest.
Yes. Although they're not going to announce him at the match tomorrow because there's no fans there, is there?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the first match where there's fans is Fiorentina, which is a week before kickoff, and we need somebody in by then. We'll come on to the new manager in a bit because we've got some other news from that. First of all, literally, I found this just came up at half an hour ago. Chelsea and Aston Villa fined 27 million and 9.5 million respectively by UEFA for breaching their financial rules. So this is nothing to do with the Premier League. This is just for European competition. And this was what started it all off with Leicester. Because when we were in Europe, it was generally over COVID. And when you were over COVID, you were allowed a little bit of leeway because obviously you weren't having any income through the turnstiles. And then we got the warning after our second, when we got into the semi-finals of the conference, we got the warning off UEFA that we've got to watch it, pull back, otherwise we could be done by them for their PSR. Of course, we were thinking we were going to get into Europe next season, held back, made cutbacks, didn't buy anybody new, and the rest, as they say, we all went downhill. But it's nice to see the big boys getting fined, though, isn't it?
Yeah, because when I always remember Stefan Borson, we went on Talk Sport, and when they were talking about PSR, they were saying, what do you think about Leicester? Will they get done? What about Everton? He says, well, the interesting thing about Chelsea, I've had a quick look at the books, and as far as I can see, they're £290 million in deficit. So I can't see how they can possibly balance the books. He says, but we'll see what happens, and then what happens. Sold a couple of hotels to themselves, the women's team in a car park, and miraculously £290 million deficit to balance the books. But they did say that it's different in Europe, isn't it? So UEFA, they are hotter on PSR than the Premier League, which allows the big ones to get away with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Villa did that just recently to get around the Premier League's PSR. They bought their own women's team Are we being a bit stupid here? Because Beaver Drive, and we're keeping that for the ladies, but surely there is enough space at Seagrave for the men and the women to train, and the women play at the King Power anyway, so we could sell either to ourselves or to another. I mean, that Beaver Drive is prime real estate land, isn't it? Really,
It is, and to be honest, Chris, it's like Tom's been going on for a while. Why can't we sell the women? Why can't we do what Chelsea and Villa have done?
yeah,
And he's bang on, really. You're thinking, well, if other accountants are seeing that as a loophole, why can't we?
yeah,
Like you said, sell it to Queen Power, or I said, King Power Knitting Group, or whatever it is. Well, obviously Chelsea sold the women's team to a different company, but
yeah,
the Chelsea's women's team is still the Chelsea's women's team.
yeah.
It doesn't just because you sell anything. It's just moving it to a title and allows you to balance the books.
Yes.
So yeah, they definitely should be able to do that. And I'm really, that is for anybody in the team, financial team, not to be looking at that and coming up with a solution that we can do, or finding a way that we can do that. That is quite negligent, surely. Why can't we do it?
Well, I'm just wondering, because you remember we did the other day, last week, when we were looking at King Power being in trouble, and they might, have to be going out of business and what have you. And King Power, as we say, don't actually own us. It's the Tops family. Basically,
Yeah.
I can't. Not going to attempt that surname, but
I'll go on, Chris.
no. How would you say it, Wayne?
So what a proper
Yeah, exactly. But the King Power themselves don't own us. It's the family that own us. So I suppose their money, if you like, whilst they're very rich, is kind of limited. I'm guessing, but there must be ways around it. There must be. But look, Chelsea have agreed a 4-year settlement, and if they breach that, then they could pay another 52 million. So for the next 4 years, and you would expect Chelsea for the next 4 years to be in Europe. Let's be honest with you. If we get down to 6, then they're going to be in Europe for the next 4 seasons. So if they break that again, they could pay up to another £52 million in fines. And Villa could be made to pay up to 13 million more in fines if they do not comply with their agreement over 3 years. So, I know, and you made the point that £27 million to Chelsea, what is it? It's pocket money. Ted Bowie probably, leaves that as a tip at a restaurant. But it's nice to see their wings being clipped.
It is, but it's like with Newcastle fans, they're absolutely livid at the moment because it's like Chelsea had signed Lukaku, and then they can literally, how can you sign a £97 million player and just not play him? How can you have Sterling on 320,000 a week and not use him? And that is the level that Chelsea can operate on. They signed all these 9-year deals, Ireland and everything. They are in a different stratosphere, they are. And even teams like Newcastle, you think, oh, go on, Newcastle, get in the top 6, as we do, try and ruffle the feathers. They are struggling to do it. They're really struggling to do it. And it's just set up for, they're massive money machine, these people. And you don't know what conversations are going on behind the closed doors and secret handshakes, but they will have gone on, because it's the only explanation, as like Kate has said and Craig and different people. It's just stacked against you, and it really pisses you off, to be honest.
Totally does. Tom is in with his frozen balls. Hello, Tom. How are you doing? I don't know how they're frozen in this weather, I'll tell you. Hope you are good as well, mate. Are you still on holiday? I believe you went to Welsh Wales, other than English Wales. I could be wrong, but you're having a good holiday if you still are on it, mate. But yeah, like I say, look, football to me, and I'm an old bugger, I'm 64. I could be dead in a couple of years. But I'll leave you the channel, Wayne. But to me, this football's not a sport anymore.
I think it is a sport, Chris, and it's always been a sport. But it's like in horse racing. There has been fixed horse racing. There's been boxers who've been told to go around down in the fifth round, and Sam Allardyce, England manager, is taking back at all that side of thing has always occurred in sport. But there is an element in the Premier League of it being branded as a very unique league that everybody can achieve, especially with Leicester winning the Premier League, that anybody has the right to dream. You got Newcastle won the cup this year, Palace, won the cup. Brilliant for football and for neutral fans and fans of those clubs who have not had a trophy. But it is stacked against. It's like Chelsea. I didn't when that Stefan Borson said. I'm thinking, yeah, but so I looked into it, the 290 million deficit, and I'm thinking, how much are those hotels worth? And each of those hotels in Chelsea, because it's in Chelsea, prime property market, each hotel was worth £75 million. I mean, what is it? What is a hotel in Leicester worth? 10, 12, 15 million or something, if that, it's just.
But then you've got King Power who own shopping centres. Can't they sell a shopping centre to themselves? Maybe we're missing the trick.
They need to get cuter, mate. That's what.
Maybe we're just a naive kid who's just joined the school or something. I don't know. But all I'm going to say is thank you, UEFA. I mean, they've accepted it. They're not fighting it, which amounts to guilt basically. And it's nice to see you nice, but it's nice to see at least having their wings clipped. You know what I mean? For me.
Just a little point, Chris, with regards to Villa doing it. I mean, Chelsea have historically done it over 10, 15 years, same with Man City, and we've still not heard anything yet. But at least with Villa, you don't mind Villa doing it because they had a brilliant season. They got in Europe. Normally, when you get in Europe, you really struggle in the Premier League, but they came on strong at the end. I've not got anything against Villa doing it, to be honest.
So you're happy for clubs to break the rules, are you?
No, but we did. But we've been clever. So all it is being clever with the accounting.
Yeah.
All of this is a little counting trips. Like we'll file on the 31st, not the 29th, and it's just clever accounting, Chris.
No. You're quite right. We although we didn't break any rules in doing it, we did play the rules to our advantage. Let's put it that way, shall we? Right. Let's have a look then. The latest new manager odds. I think we may have discussed this already, but Sean Dyche still 11 to 10 on to get the job. The other day I looked at the odds on the Leicestershire Live, and they were slightly different to this, although they were in the same order. Danny Roll was evens in second place. He's actually with this. I'm looking at TalkSport Bet, and we always say betting's not the answer to any money problem. So if you do gamble responsibly, because we're all about being responsible on this channel, aren't we?
Absolutely, Chris. Well, most of us anyway, Chris.
It's the most unresponsible channel out there. So you've got Sean Dyche 11 to 10 on, Danny Roll 5 to 4, Lee Carsley 5 to 2. Now that's a surprise, Lee Carsley, because he was being mentioned, I think, possibly when Rude came in, and he went quiet, but suddenly he wins the under 21 Euros again, and suddenly jumps into third place. But he's only just signed a bloody new contract with the FA.
Thank God.
Not your choice.
No.
Yeah, but look, managers that are good with England, you don't know what. I mean, look, we had Peter Taylor. He was good with the under 21 England, and he was good with us. We had Sven-Goran Eriksson, great English manager for us, brilliant for Leicester. We had Steve Cooper, brilliant with the under-17s, fantastic with us. What is there to worry about?
Well, he didn't. He didn't. We thought with his history with the younger players with England, he would play the younger players, but he went for older players. I get, I get why you.
I'm being a tad sarcastic. I got to be honest.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like Rude. We were cocksure that Rude would play the younger kids, and he didn't.
Yeah.
He just froze a bit. I think Rude under the pressure. But that's the thing. You think. It's like Southgate. I do agree with some people that so England have such a under 17 Euro winners or what we have won a load of things under 17, under 19, under 21s, and yes, they do get wasted then when they go back to clubs like Chelsea, Man United, because they can't get first team football. But we have got a riches of really high quality, world class teenagers and young 20-year-olds, but not, they're not coming through and really affecting the game so much, are they?
No. Michael Carrick, who was third, fourth favourite at one point, he's down to fifth at 8-1. Oh, I said that equal fifth because also at 8-1. And I think they may have mentioned this last week. Ralph Hudson-Howe.
That's easy for you to say, Chris. Well, he's got history of getting thumped, hasn't he?
Yes. I'm sorry. If the fans protested at the match about Russell, what's he called?
Martin.
I was about to say Russell Grant. He'd probably be a better manager. At least he'd be able to predict the score in advance, wouldn't he?
He'd get the crowd going, wouldn't he?
Yes, yeah. Hey, don't knock it. He's friends with me on Twitter. And I still don't do well in the prediction league. But where the hell has he come in? And this is on Talk Sport. Where the hell has he come in at 8-1 from?
Yeah, I think these betting sites, they really love to get you hooked on the things. And some of the odds you're thinking, it's almost like we're living on planet Zanussi in a parallel world, through a time shift, whatever. Yeah. I mean, because some of the odds you're thinking, you'd never consider some of these people. And I think it's quite depressing when you get some of these same old names, as you said before, Chris. They're just on a treadmill of, fail, give him a go somewhere else. And Carrick, I know he's ex-Man United, but as you said, ex-Man United players haven't got a really good history.
No.
And I think Carrick, if he's not careful, he's got to go way lower down, as Lampard has done. I do think to go lower down and earn your stripes sort of thing is really what you need to do.
Unless, of course, you're Wayne Rooney, you go lower down, you're just as shit as you were anywhere. Sam Allardyce.
He's the what do you call it? The manifestation of Murphy's Law, isn't it?
Yes. But Sam Allardyce, by the way, is 33-1. Gerrard is 16-1. Chris Wilder, despite being bigged up by somebody on TalkSport, he's 14-1. My favourite, Edin Terzic, has dropped out slightly to 20-1. He was 16-1.
Oh.
He's drifted a little bit to 20-1. I would so love him. I mean, and in fairness, yesterday on the show, Locks, he said he would love him as well, but we're unlikely to get him. So I'm hanging my hat on him because you just never know. But I think to me it's that T-junction, like I said to you before, or the crossroads. Left it's Dyche, and his style of football keeps us up, and stabilises us for 3 seasons. It's right, and it's Danny Roll, and you've got that young, new, dynamic manager coming through, and straight on, it's an outsider, which might be Edin Terzic. But I've got to say, I am leaning towards that right-hand turn towards Danny Roll.
Yeah, it is difficult, Chris, and I know like some of the younger fans are sort of definitely Roll 100%, but nothing is 100%, is it? I mean, when we got rid of Cooper, so many fans on other channels, and the younger fans were like, "Oh, great! He's world-class striker.
Yeah.
He's been a manager at Man United, done fantastic bringing the youth at PSV." It's probably just coincidental that he had a brilliant squad at PSV, by the way. And look what happened. He froze in the headlights. He became indecisive on what really was very clear to Kate and people going down the match and people watching, and he just didn't do any of that. So and that surprised me about Rude. But Turgic, Chris, I mean, all of a sudden, like Maresca was left field, Rodgers was left field, and all you need is somebody to look at the project and think, because if somebody says, "I want to manage in the Premier League," right, so you've either got to be in the top 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 with a real crap club in Europe, or you've got to, get promoted from the Championship. So could that be? What
I think I whetted your appetite with Edin Terzic, though, didn't I?
Well, you look at like what the main things you want. You want like leadership qualities, tactically very clever, modern in approach, good pedigree, and looking at stats, and everything about him, Chris, was spot on.
I think if it is
got them into Europe is a big thing as well.
Yeah, and I think the fact that looking back to whether it's Dyche or Danny Roll, and again, it's all about when you've got an opinion of who you want, and look, if it comes out and it's Sean Dyche, I'm not going to be crying in my soup. If it's Danny Roll, I'm not going to be crying in my soup. If it's Gary O'Neill, I'll be pissing in my soup. You know what I mean? But I'm either way. I understand both ways on that. But I do like the fact that Danny Roll used to be that tactical video guy that would look at it and pick up things. And as Tom says there with the betting, of course, it does change. As people put money on a particular player. Maybe somebody's got money to waste and put it on Ralph Huthenhal. Maybe it's Ralph Huthenhal's agent. I don't know. By the way, Tom, can I just say you looked absolutely beautiful dressed up as that popcorn box. I thought when I saw that picture, I thought I recognise those legs.
Plus, as well, Chris, with both these managers. So the question is, do you think Roll could do a job for Leicester City? And my answer would be yes.
Yeah.
But also, although you want Roll, so if you're the person that wants Roll, if somebody says to me, "Yeah, I know you really want Roll, but what if Top and the board decide it's Dyche? Do you think Dyche could do a job?" You've got to, you've got to say, I would prefer Roll, but do I think Dyche can do a job? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I think anybody to turn around and say, they might say, look, he might play the youth. You can't categorically say he won't. But he would, I think he would get us up.
Well, I'll tell you what, you say that. I mean, the last 3 managers, we've all said, "Oh, he'll play the youth.
Yeah,
we'll get him in because he'll play the youth." None of them bloody did. Michael says, I'm not Sean Dyche all day long. And then he says, which surprised me because I thought you were. Then he said, Sean Dyche all day long. Tad confused, and Tom put me in my place, and it was actually a coffee cup. That was it, I mean, you know what I mean, Tom? It's the University of Life, isn't it? That's what it is.
You know what as well, Chris? When I saw that photo of Tom on the streets of... was it Toronto? You can imagine being quite like forceful and aggressive with getting people to go and have a coffee.
Yes. I actually looked at that and I thought it was an extra off Doctor Who. The invasion of the coffee cups. Oh, Tom, look, if you put pictures like that up, don't expect not to have the piss taken.
But it's interesting. So he says he ends up being on stage. He went over there and he ended up being on stage with the same stage that Robin Williams had played on and other people.
Yeah.
Really interesting, actually.
Yes, yes. Right, okay. So, talking of Danny Roll, and I believe we were, he's told the Sheffield Wednesday players he will leave the club. Now, I don't know what's taking the time here because, I know, I understand why they've held on before they sacked Ruud van Nistelrooy for PSR and all of that. Get it totally. Makes sense, I guess. But surely in those 8 weeks until we sacked him, we knew we were going to be sacking him. Surely we weren't stood there with our fingers up our arse going do 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 do. Surely we must have been sounding out these people. Now, Danny Roll has, I think he was Michael. Actually, I think he was. I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, surely we were going and talking to Danny Roll's agent and what have you. But look, he has now renegotiated his leaving contract with Sheffield Wednesday. So apparently it's only going to cost £1 million. Well, if we can't afford £1 million for the manager, then we're in a worse bloody position than I thought we were. And he's telling people he wants to leave. My only worry is it out of the frying pan and into the fire? I got that wrong last night. I kept saying the frying pan in the wrong way down, but people knew what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to like the way Ruud's been treated, everything like that, I think he's paid under contract. They probably said to him, look, we are considering other people. We need to look at the people out of respect. The scenario is that they knew they've already chatted with Roll because they would have had a chat with his agent. Yeah, and said, look, you need to let me get all this side sorted out because I really would like the job, but it does depend on how these negotiations go, and I think he's probably doing that. So this is what I do think it all does all lead to Roll, but all these negotiations and these contract side of things that need to be in place, we won't ever. You might get a friend of yours say, oh, I'm working on a brilliant contract. It's a national contract. And to be honest, if I get it, I think I'm going to end up being a millionaire. And, but it won't ever tell you the details because you can't do that in business.
No,
you keep your cards close to your chest and then when, but I do think it's a great opportunity for Andy King to cement his place. He'll be reporting back. If Roll's appointed, he'll be reporting back to him. And nothing that's happening at the moment really surprises me with hopefully getting the right manager in, whether that is Roll or, guys. They've got to be careful.
The one thing I will say is that if it is going to be Danny Roll or if it is Sean Dyche, whoever comes in, do not get rid of Andy King.
No.
Because I think what we need to be doing is, and this is what I loved when Claudio Ranieri came in. That's the one time I was actually right when I said I want the manager that I wanted, and obviously he did well for us. But what he did was he kept Craig Shakespeare. He brought his own number 2 in, but he had Craig Shakespeare. And Craig Shakespeare was the glue that held the team together. And, if Claudio said, I'm going to play Riyad Mahrez as a right back, attacking right back, Craig Shakespeare could go up to him and say, what the fuck are you doing? Of course you're not. You can't do that. So, you need that. And I think that was the thing. With Enzo taking everybody, when Cooper came in, he had nobody to sort of say, right, you need to do this, or you can't do that, or he's not going to do that. So, and I think as well, because look, managers move on, and I think were you in the chat last night? I think you were, weren't you? But Locks was getting quite wound up about people that said we can't take him because somebody will come in and poach him. But if they do poach him in a year or two because he's done a good job, we can't avoid that. Then you've got a number 2. Like Liverpool. I think I said before, Liverpool years ago always promoted from within. The number 2 became the number 1. The boot room they called it, didn't they? And we need to do that. Now, after not only but also the Daily Mail were reporting that the decision has been made and they've actually had contact with Danny Roll. And let me just get the full information up. on that one. Yeah, Danny Roll tells Sheffield Wednesday is leaving the club as Leicester continue to monitor the coach. Roll hasn't returned to pre-season training.
Just showing that Tom.
Oh yeah,
Fox.
yeah. Well, he's got the hair for it, hasn't he? Leicester have held talk till Wednesday over a compensation package. So, it could be done. But look, there's so many rumours. It's the silly season, isn't it?
It is, but I do think it seems logical and right that, Leicester waited to sort Van Nistelrooy out with the year's accounts. The fact that Roll needs to get these things sorted out, and probably he's now has he negotiated a lower severance package, which is good for us. So it seems like, I do think, like with Villa and Chelsea with the PSR, and like what's happened with, what is it, Hull, isn't it? It's all Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, and they might, because the Championship do not mess around when it comes to stamping on people. So I think we're going through a period where the PSR is biting. I think probably DeMarco said, look, we got away with it last year, but this year, basically, we just got to, as you said, Chris, deal with it, get a ground zero, and then just move on. So I think all this side of things, like waiting for Van Nistelrooy to say goodbye, probably saves a year on his payment. Roll doing the same with his contract. I think it's probably all PSR stuff, to be honest.
Yes, yeah. Be interested to see if it is decision made. One decision that they were being urged to do, and this was in EFL analysis, if Danny Rolls accepts the invite, there is one man who must be his +1, and that was Chris Powell. We all know Chris Powell. I remember him for the way that he was not impressed with the free kick that was given against him when we beat them 4-0, and the 4 goals all came in the first 12 minutes and from headers. His face on that. But he's also coached with us as well, hasn't he? So, we know him. But again, the Wednesday, Ash from the Wednesday week said last night, they don't get on.
Who's that?
These two, Roll and Chris Powell. Although it looks like the best buddies there, apparently they don't get on.
That's a shame, because, you got King here, him and Roll. You're thinking that's a really good, young, dynamic group. That is a shame then. So he won't be coming then.
It won't be coming. Well, apparently not. You never know. It's the Titanic is yet to hit the iceberg. But
because I was really excited with that trio plus whoever else they had there.
Yes. Well, you don't know. Like you say, you don't know. This, a lot of this is paper talk and what have you.
You've got Shakespeare and Pearson, haven't you? They were a great trio.
Yeah. Well, Fox Fanatic says here, get Chris Powell back at the KP. Yeah, I don't think I'd want Chris Powell as a number 1. I would welcome him as a coach, but it's who Danny Roll wants in. Now, Danny Roll may say, look, we work well together. I don't like you. You got bad breath or whatever. But I'll put up with you to, for the sake of the club. For Fox Fanatic, sorry, he says as assistant. I agree. I'd love him as assistant. Chris Powell was assistant manager for us. Was he, Michael? I didn't know. I didn't think he was. But apparently, according to the Wednesday week, they don't get on. So we will see. Like I say, it may, it'd be a shame, but obviously what's happened at Sheffield Wednesday happened because of those two as a pair. It's like, how good was Clough without Peter Taylor? How good was Nigel Pearson without Craig Shakespeare?
Yeah, I think getting it right. And one thing is what I'll say about that, you don't know whether they are really close and they just had something, because like they say, don't go into business with friends or family.
Yes.
Because you might end up never speaking to them again. It doesn't mean to say you don't get on, you don't like it or love each other, but you can just have inflammatory situations that ruin your relationship. So sometimes, though, in business, you do want people to challenge you. Maybe you might think, you know what, I need Chris there to kick me up the arse every time I need it. So you don't.
Yeah. No. Tom says there, if we get I get Kingy in charge, stranger things have happened. Yeah, totally. You got very quiet.
It was under Nigel Pearson, weren't he, as a coach?
Yeah. I was going to say then, Tom's gone very quiet about his love for Nigel Pearson as coming back as manager. You know, with Kingy as number 2.
I mean, what a dream situation for Kingy, though.
Yes,
absolutely dream, isn't it?
But he hasn't got his licenses yet, anyway, so he couldn't become anything other than a caretaker. Andres, what do you think the delay is in appointing a manager? I do think it's all down to contracts, and I mean, Sheffield Wednesday is such a mess. I didn't realise how bad it was until I spoke to Ash last night. Apparently, Milan Mandrić was looking at going back in. Hiya, Uncle Clibo, how you doing? Do you have a proper name, Uncle Clibo? Right, but no, welcome along, mate.
It's interesting what Tom said, isn't it? King has a Class B and A UEFA, so he can manage in the Championship.
Does he? I didn't know what it got. So, well, interesting then. Interesting. But I think it's too early for him. We need somebody now that will come in that has got some experience. Now, look, you know, King has had a couple of months helping out Nigel Pearson at Bristol City. He's had, half a season up at the main squad, you know, under Rude. He's not ready for the manager's role. We need somebody that, you know, to be totally honest with you, you know, that can get in and drive the car, if you like. And Danny Roll and all those people we mentioned can do that. And I don't think King is ready for it. Now, I did say about rats leaving a sinking ship. Because this gentleman here, a key figure, said the Leicester Mercury, has departed. This gentleman is Dan Barnett. Obviously, he's not a suit and tie gentleman, but he's left Leicester City to join the soccer powerhouse that is Hibernian. He's been appointed as their Scottish Premier Club's new chief executive, having been commercial director at the King Power Stadium. Hibernian chairman Ian Gordon said, "I'm delighted to welcome Dan as the club's new chief executive officer." So he's basically going to be doing Susan Whelan's role. The process of appointing our new CEO has been long and thorough to ensure we hired the right person to lead the business side of the football club. We wanted somebody with real business acumen that could help propel this fantastic club forward, and Dan's experience and expertise make him the outstanding candidate. Dan is ambitious, forward-thinking leader with experience not only in football but sports organisations across the world. His commercial nous and track record of implementing successful strategies will greatly benefit a number of areas at Hibernian FC. He sounds, if he's that good, what the hell are we doing? Losing somebody, and no disrespect to Hibernian. You know, if you're talking Celtic or Rangers, okay, you can kind of get it. But Hibs, they're not even in the next group of 2 or 3 these days. I mean, what's happening to Leicester?
I wonder. So, what was his specific role as Leicester? Did you say, Chris?
He was commercial director. So I guess things like sponsorship and bringing the money in on the commercial side.
I suppose if you like become the numero uno in your area, though, you get why, because that would be a real sort of coup for Hibs. You say Hibs, was it?
Yeah.
Hibs, yeah. So you can understand that.
Maybe he feels his route up is blocked.
Yeah, and also sometimes people. Well, what's the average years? You're considered a long-serving person for a company if you stay there for 7 years, aren't you? These days,
yes,
it's really common to move around after 2 or 3 years. So it might have just fancied a fresh chance or anything. I don't think there's too much in that. Really, not for me, Chris.
I just look at it. I think at any other period in our history, you'd look at it and you go, "Yeah, fair enough. He's moving forward." But it's just at the moment.
Do you know what came to my mind, Chris? I don't know why. Captain Pugwash leaving a sinking ship. Oh dear.
I mean,
it's just the sort of the analogy of like with Leicester City a sinking ship.
Wayne's World is a very, very strange place, I have to say. Well, if you're thinking that, all I'm going to say is, who's your Master Bates?
Hey.
They got away with that for years, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, I think at any other time you say, yeah, fair enough. He wants to, better his future. But it's just at the moment it is like shit. It just gets worse and worse and worse. Right, let's go up to Leicester City defender linked with move to ambitious Premier League side. Here we are. We're talking. Well, as you can see there, Victor Christensen. Last time we went down, he left on loan for a season. He came back and look, he's played. Fox has said, "Oh, please, Chris, let it be true." The problem was trying to fit him into the team meant that they moved James Justin over to the right. And look, my thoughts on James Justin on the right. To me,
no, sorry, Chris. What is that then?
Funnily enough, but no, to me, he shit on the right. I don't just put it on the desk there. He shit on the right, and I go back 2 seasons when I saw him play away at Southampton in that role, but he just come back from injury. So and yeah, I mean, as Fox says, they're just let him go.
Well, I mean, like I said, about 10 million. So what do you think he will be valued at, Chris?
Well, funny you should ask that. Let me have a look at transfer market, shall I? It will tell us what is...
Christensen really divides fans, doesn't it?
Yes. I'm not going to lie. There was at one point, I thought, when he first came, I thought he was quite good. The problem is, every time he went forward, he'd stop and turn around and come back again. Now, 2 points is that how he wants to play? Or was he being told to play like that? Because I noticed a lot of the time when he got up into the box, or, into the corner to cross the ball, there was no fucker in the box for him to pass it to.
No, I think end product from his runs was really lacking, Chris, to be honest. And like you said, is that down to team tactics? I do think it's like JJ, my biggest bugbear with JJ. I know he was on the England call-up, then he got a really horrible injury. Some people love to hate on JJ, but I think he's a brilliant player. Even on the right-hand side, he was overloaded, marking 2 players. He was expected to be right on the right wing, and then he was getting slagged off for not being there when it was Faz's job to tackle. But I do think JJ has been spoilt by system football. So under Enzo, he would run up the wing and then double back. He could easily dribble past. JJ's got the skill and the speed to dribble past somebody or hit the ball low in the box. And that's got to be down to instruction. And I think my real bugbear, I know people say pet disciples, but I think sometimes system football spoils players. Definitely.
Yeah. They are. Sometimes you've just got to say, let a guy off the hook and go do what you want. And that's the kind of role I would love Fatawu to have next season.
Yes. He does look. He looks bloody fit, doesn't he, Fatawu?
He does. Yes, he does. Yeah. Don't forget, last time that we had a player off for a long time and came back and said how nice it was to be back, he fucked off to Chelsea. Let's not read too much into it. But no, I'd have Mavididi on one side and I've forgotten who the fuck I want on the right-hand side. McAteer on the right. But then I have Fatawu literally just behind, whether it's Ayew or if we buy a striker, but in just behind, and I'd say to him, just go and create havoc.
Yeah, because the thing is, Fatu's down as a winger, but I think sometimes wingers, when they come inside, if they do...
Well, on the Leicester website, he's down as a forward. Well, you could argue... You could argue forward, winger, whatever, but I think, can you imagine? Because every time, if he suddenly switched sides, he'd be taking players with him. He would, well, in my opinion, and I'm not a manager, but in my opinion, he would absolutely cause havoc. 50 million euros is his current market value, according to transfer market. Do you think, though, Leicester, like Fox said, let's take 10, if we're offered 10 million, let's take it. Sometimes, look, we've lost so much money because these players have gone for nothing at the end of the contract. Nearly £300 million. I don't think any other club has done that. And if we were a business, we'd be out of business, letting that sort of thing happen. Now, I think in the past, we said, right, we want 12 million for this player. And somebody's come in and gone, no, we'll offer you 10. And Leicester, because we're a shit club run by Muppets at the moment, going, no, we said 12. All right, 10.5. No, we want 12. Sorry then. Bye-bye. And again, we'll end up letting him go for free. Sometimes we've just got to say, fuck yeah, let's get what we can get for them.
Yeah, sometimes it's like you have to liquidate your assets and sell them on so then you can buy new stock, and that's just a bet. It doesn't matter whether you're selling plastic umbrellas. Yeah, that's like King Power. That is just a Del Boy in his suitcase, and that element of the business side of the transfers coming in with the wages and the signings we've given people, and in not like you said, not just say, you know what, we would like 10 million, but if we get 8, that's okay, because then we can spend the money. And like you said, Chris, I think the people leaving on a free has massively played part in the PSR mess.
Yeah, definitely. I want to sort of grab somebody at Leicester and go, just fucking wake up, just take what you can. I mean,
I like Tom said he paid 7. I didn't realise he paid 17 million for him.
Yeah. And Fox is agreeing with me. And I'd say, look, go to a market and you buy some tomatoes that are just about to turn. You're going to get them half price. If they ask the full price for them, people are going to go, I'll go down there. They've got, you're offering them at half price. I'll have them. Take what you can fucking get for these players. Otherwise, we'll just end up losing them for nothing. Anyway.
Sorry, Chris, just clarify. So is Christensen a tomato then?
No, because I wouldn't insult tomatoes like that. I quite like tomatoes. So, look, again, under a different manager, who knows? Where he's not told to hold back, or we actually managed to get the ball. You know what it's like with Leicester? Last season, we got the ball over the halfway line, we got nosebleeds, turned around and came back again.
Yeah, I think Christensen is like, I wasn't going to say it's Ferrari without a steering wheel, but I'd say it's like I don't know, an underpowered Audi 1.2 without a steering wheel or brakes.
Yes, yeah. Well, whatever we paid for him, Tom, we'll get what we can get for him. Yes, we turned down 12 million for McAteer. That said, I like McAteer. I think he's a damn good. I think he's part of the future. Bobby Reliant, more like 3 wheels.
Yeah.
Lovely jubbly. Right. Well, look, they're saying that I don't think many people are going to be sorry if this guy goes. No. Indeed, Michael, I agree with you. I think this is where it's going to be a Daddy Chips moment.
What's that, Chris?
Because the other one that might be leaving, Mr. Cody, who has been promoted from TalkSport, and he was on this Club World Cup duty thing, whatever the shit it is.
Oh, was there?
It was on. Yeah, I think it was on with Jermaine Defoe, and Jermaine Defoe was keen, or Jermaine Defoe was saying you should go to Rangers. It's a great club, blah blah blah. And the problem is, again, last night we actually had a Rangers fan who came on saying, "Do you think he's going to come?" And I said, "I fucking hope so." I think, let's be honest with you, there'd be a queue of us all in our cars wanting to taxi him up there. Look, I don't dislike Connor Cody, and but I think we've got. See, to me, for the back, we need to keep a Coley, we need to keep Nelson, and possibly Luke Shaw can play if we're playing a back three. And obviously left back if we're playing a back four. We need an experience in there. Now, at the moment, we've got... at the moment, we've got Connor Cody, Wout Faes, and Vestergaard. So out of the three there, we do need to keep one person as a kind of experienced, if you like. Now, do I want Wout Faes to stay? I'd sooner stick needles up my cock than let him stay, if I'm honest with you.
What happened to the wig, Chris?
Hey. You expect me to talk, Mr. Bond? We've been expecting you, Mr. Bond. Does my testicle look big? You see, you've started me off now. No, I don't want Wout Faes anywhere near this club. He's taking up somebody's... what's her name, Chris? Indeed. Carry on, don't stop. I'll let you know when you can end. No, you can't come up for air. But, you know, no, I'm not a Wout Faes fan. I cannot stand the guy. The guy, honestly, the only thing that Wout Faes would be good at is for drying clothes. Because he stands like that so much, because it's not his fault, that you could just put your clothes over him. You know, please somebody go and hang a bra or a pair of knickers on his arms to dry because he's going around like that. The guy is an absolute... He's world class in his mind. He is shit. He's got to go. Please go. So then it's Vestergaard or Connor. Now, look, with Vestergaard, I wouldn't mind if he stayed, but he has to be used right. I don't think we can use him if it's a high line because he's got no fucking speed in coming back. But then again, neither has Connor. So maybe all three have got to go, although Vestergaard's on the longer contract. So I'm guessing Vestergaard might be the one to stay. He does. He thinks he's Madini. Chris, that's the point we haven't even thought about Faes yet. No. I'm trying to forget him. Would you be sorry to see this gentleman go?
No, I mean, there he looks really smug, doesn't he? He's got a very smug look on his face. And I do think that...
If that was a child looking like that, you'd know he's about to fill his nappy.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the bottom line is what I would ask with all... So if you get a manager coming in, you want him like looking at his past history, you think, right, Patson Dakar.
Yeah.
How many goals has he scored? How many contributions? How many goals has he been involved with? No. Connor Cody, what influence he has on the team? How many games has he played? Has he come on in a game where we've been behind and managed to help us wrestle a draw or a win? No, he came on against Everton and we lost 3 points. So no, not a fan of Connor Cody. Has he worked? No. In business or any, you've got to say, is it effective? Has it worked? Yes. No. There has been circumstances, but I'm sorry, a few years he's got to go. He's got to go. He's not worked out. Teams will be sitting back against Leicester City, so Vestergaard will get the room. If he's got a quick defender in with him, he will look brilliant again. So I would say get rid of Cody, get rid of Faz, and keep Vestergaard, but only use him for the year. And then even if you've got to take a loss. Just he's not good enough in the Premier League.
No. But like you say, and there's a very thin line between a long ball and a fantastic pass. But if you want somebody to put a ball up, the other end of the field and land it on the penalty spot, he can do that. He really, really can.
He can, but don't forget, one caveat is we will be playing against most teams that will be sitting back against us.
Yes, yeah.
So that's where I do think Vestergaard's passing array. If you're in a Premier where people are coming onto you, you can pick. There'll be gaps to pick. But if you get a team sitting back, I don't think even Vestergaard. In fact, to be honest, that was the trouble in the Championship. Vestergaard could punch the balls through, but the amount of times he did, because teams were sitting back, I don't think he did it that much, to be honest. So I do think he's ineffective in the Premier League and probably Championship.
Yeah. Nate, welcome along, mate. Not seen you for a while. Hope you're okay. You've just reminded me, Monday night, everybody, at 6 o'clock, we are relaunching the Prediction League. Now, if you were in the Prediction League last season, you're not automatically transferred over. You'll have to send me a message. It was Brad last year. Send me a message on X saying that you want to join, because there'll be a new group, and that group will be closed down. And I'm not chasing anybody. We've got a lot of newbies coming in. We've got Leicester Fan TV are going to be doing it. Jack from the Final Whistle is joining us. Tom from not that Tom, a different Tom, who's a Leicester fan, will be. So we've got a lot of other channels joining us. So next Friday, that old X group will be closed down, and there'll be a new group has been made. And if you want to go into the new group, you have to message me and ask. So we will be on 6 o'clock on Monday doing a show. It's completely different this season. Completely different. I'm not going to give too much away, but it's not going to be run the same way as it was last year, because, to be honest with you, it'd be a pain in the arse in the Championship. So 6 o'clock Monday, put a note in your diary for how we're actually going to go forward. And don't forget, if you want to be in the Prediction League next year, don't worry, Wayne, you're already in it, up to your neck. We will tell you how it works. But you must send a request in if you want to be in the group. Because next Friday, that old one is shut down and we lose all the information.
Sorry, just on that with Vestergaard, what Fox Barnett said, Chris, I agree with that. I would rather take the risk. That's why I do want something like Roll. I would rather get rid of Vestergaard, Cody and Faz and try Nelson and Cody. And yes, they are inexperienced together, but in the Championship, how we send players out on loan in the Championship, but we should have them in the team this year. It's a brilliant opportunity to try Nelson and Cody, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I agree. But I'm just thinking, a lot of those managers will be playing four at the back, so we can get away with that, because you're going to maybe have Thomas on the right, and you're going to have on the left, and hopefully Koulibaly on the right, or Justin on the left and Koulibaly. So hopefully, with that we can get away with it. Vestergaard's best comment this postseason was, "I have to do what's right to get the football club back into the Prem." And that holds to Yannick. Can you leave then? Well, apparently, when he brought his dog into training once and actually left it with John Rudkin to look after while he went and did the training, apparently John Rudkin put him on a 3-year contract. So the dog is, mind you, I'd sooner have the dog than Connor Cody, if I'm honest with you.
And I bet the dog was humping John Rudkin's leg as well.
well, I don't know. Well, we couldn't have John Terry in, could we then? There'd be a bit of competition, allegedly. There's a lot in the background people don't know. It's been frustrating. Leicester City's carnage laid bare as player speaks out on frustrations. All right, a bit of a sensationalist headline. But look, Everson's gone, and I think that's a shame, because I would have loved, because I think Hermansson's going. I think we can say he's one of our most sellable assets. So if nobody comes into him, I think we would be silly if we didn't try and sell him. If he stays, he stays. But to me, I'm sorry, Stolarczyk should be our number one, and I would have been very happy for Everson to be our number two. That said, he's not that young anymore, and I suppose he wants a career. And his last few seasons at Leicester have been not at Leicester, shall we say? They've been out on loan, and he spent some time at Preston, and
They loved him at Preston, didn't they?
they absolutely did. But again, it's just these things that, when you get in, and I know the headlines are sensationalised, clickbait and what have you, of course they are, but I just think that, there's just like, why are they saying, there's no smoke without fire, as they say.
I mean, you can understand. When I saw these headlines, I just quickly saw the headline on my phone. And I thought with Ward going to Wrexham, I thought it was Ward was saying these things. I'm thinking, what? Because we've all accused Ward of who've just been happy taking his pay back, haven't we? But it's the fact that it is Everson, and you can't blame him. But I think the trouble is we've had so many changes of managers. Because when a new manager comes in, a player will not be, like Vestergaard, not fancied by Rodgers. Enzo comes in, love him. And it's the same we've had so many changes in managers, which isn't helpful for, people like Everson and keepers to know where they are and whether they've got a chance of first team football. But the thing is with Stolarczyk, I mean, you don't know whether all along the chat in the club is, oh my God, look how good Stolarczyk is. As he started to develop, you're thinking they probably looked at him and looked at Stolarczyk in his development. He's been with us a long time and thinking he's going to be a number one keeper. Yes.
He's 27. Look, he wants to play regularly, I understand, but maybe, he didn't need to say those two things, but he did. But, Danny Ward's going back to Wrexham, where he obviously it all started for him. Good luck to him. Look, at the end of the day, I just think, yes, he wasn't. I think the line that sums it up, and I don't know who wrote this line, it was either The Athletic or possibly the BBC, possibly Leicester Mercury, that he didn't fulfil the potential he'd shown in cup games. We were very lucky that we had a keeper in Schmeichel that was never injured, basically. So he never had to play Premier League football, until right at the end. And it's like, we had the England goalkeeper, Gordon Banks, and we let him go because Peter Shilton wanted to come through, and
those two keepers are ridiculous, aren't they?
Yeah. So I and I think that, let's be honest with you as well, Danny Ward, for God's sake, that defence in front of him was like Gouda cheese. There was more holes in it than anything. But
and the goalkeeping position is normally, if you're even on a fringe player like, Albrighton wasn't fancied, you get playing, but with a keeper, if you're second, and if you're third, you are not getting on.
No.
And it's such a difficult position, really. You can get froze out, become rusty. You know that if the atmosphere at the King Power is a bit shit, you're going to be kegging your pants thinking, if I make one mistake, I'm going to get roasted here. So, I wouldn't like to be a keeper.
No. And Fox was just asking, do I think Bilal will stay? Interestingly, it took him a year to put on his social media that he was a Leicester City player, and he only did that at the end of the season. If we are offered anything for him, I think he should go because we need the money. It's all going to be about balancing the books and limiting the damage. Let me just say, that's what we've got to do, is limit the damage, because there will be damage. If we are offered anything decent for him, and apparently it's Arsenal that are looking, and he probably would do reasonably well at Arsenal, but is it too soon for him? I think if he doesn't go this season, and like Fox said, he probably would tear up the Championship, like Fatawu and Mavididi did last season. Imagine them three all together. Bloody hell. But I think he would then go at the end of next season if we do well again. So, but unfortunately, I think he will. again, along with Hermansen, he's the second of our most sellable assets. So, unfortunately, yes, I think he may well go. Right.
Question, Chris. You know,
You can ask me a question. Just, I might give you an answer like you do and avoid it all the way round.
I'm going to turn the tables on you now, Chris, young man.
So, young man, I like you.
Hermansen and El Canoes to go. What if we didn't get any offers for Hermansen and El Canoes, but somebody came in and offered us 20 million for Fatawu? Would you take the 20 million?
We'd have to.
You see, you just deal with it straight away, Chris.
I don't go around the benches like you. You know, I mean, you sit there doing best MP impression. I expect you to start crying soon. You know, like Rachel Reeves and dabbing your cheek and what have you. But yeah, as far as we don't have the choice, we are going to be hit like mad, right? The EFL have been waiting for us. They finally got us by the short and curlies, and they are really going to say, like, you thought you got away with it. So they're going to hit us harder. Now look, they've just given Sheffield Wednesday a three transfer window ban.
Wow.
For not paying players. Well, look, we're not in that position. They've just given Hull a 3 transfer window ban. Hull are going to object to it. I don't know exactly why Hull have got it, but they have. Now, if they've had that, neither club technically has broken PSR as far as I know, then what are we going to get? So we have to get the money in. And if that means selling Fatawu, then yeah. And let's be honest with you, we don't know how good he's going to be. JJ, pre and after injury, 2 different players. And how often do you see that? Ricardo, pre and after injury.
Yeah.
Ndidi, pre and after injury. I'm not talking about a couple of weeks. I mean, they all had long-term injuries. They were never as good.
Because they get secondary injuries when they come back, don't they, quite often?
Exactly. So I don't want him to go because I think, again, if it's, like I say, I think Mavididi, Fatawu, McAteer is a great threesome along the middle. Put in Canoes in the middle as well and move Fatawu outside because we've got 40, loads of games, 48 odd games.
Wow.
That's going to tear things up. But we have to accept whatever we get offered. I don't want to sell the crown jewels. We might just have to sell 1 or 2 diamonds. Or, because at the end of the day, they could even put a management business plan on us. Now, they can't come in and say, right, you've got to sell Fatawu. What they can come on and say is, you've got to make £30 million this season. They're not going to say how we do it, but if we're offered 20 for one player, and if that player is Fatawu, so
I think it's because we expected Hermansen and El Canoes, but none of us, because he's had his injury and we're gutted for him, I think it would be gut-wrenching and cause a bit of a riot, to be honest. I think people will get genuinely upset about that. But what's interesting, Chris, these triple window bans, is that worse than a 12? How does that equate? Is that worse than a 12-point deduction?
I don't know.
That's really heavy, isn't it? You know what I mean? 3.
It is. And I guess if Sheffield Wednesday were to come along and go, right, we've paid everybody up to date, which they haven't, because I've read today that some of the Sheffield Wednesday players are taking them to the PFA or whatever over non-payment, so they haven't. But if they were to come along and suddenly go, right, yeah, we've paid them all, we paid what we owe them, blah, 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 then they may say, right, we'll take it down to 1 or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting. Like you say, I don't know what I'd sooner have, I have to say. But here we go. Yeremy Hernandez linked despite having just signed a new contract. Yeremy Hernandez, and this was Sport Witness, Yeremy Hernandez directly asked about Wolves and Leicester City being keen. And yet, it was because back in January, apparently we were linked with him. I don't remember it. He's at Deportivo La Coruna. It was reported that Wolves and Leicester were willing to pay his 33 million release clause. Now, I'm sorry, right? I'm sure we can do a bit of work before they come back and say this is what we're going to hit you with, because that could be a while. We know that. It will probably be sort of mid-season sometime. We cannot spend £33 million on anything at the moment.
No.
I mean, it's absolutely... I mean, I'm not saying it's lazy journalism, but surely the guy that's written this surely must be looking at that and going like, unless they're going to bet. I mean, we wouldn't pay £33 million in total for 4 players. We did last season, last time we got relegated, we were the biggest spenders ever in the Championship. We can't spend £33 million on one player now, can we?
No, I think you need to kick Fox Fanatics out, Chris, because he said 32 million, we have 10 million. But then we're talking about the ridiculous of 30 million. But just before he says, we've got 4 more years of skip, lads.
No, I'm sorry, Fox. I think it's 3, isn't it? Isn't it 3, Fox?
Is it? Oh.
And I think Winks has got 1. I'm not onto this skip hate bandwagon. For me, it is 4, is it? Okay. I'm not going to argue with you because you're probably right.
I mean, that 32, anything over 20 million, what is our budget, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. Can I just say, Fox might be right. So moving on very quickly, because I'm not going to.
If we sold a Manson and El Canoes, have we got like a 30 million deficit? So if we sold one, we can then buy players, or have we got to raise 50, 60 million?
This is the thing, we don't know, do we? We don't know. But I wouldn't think that, we've got to sort of start balancing the books now. We took a gamble last time and we went up to the Premier League. If we take a gamble this time, we're going to get hit anyway. We don't, we've got to start making an effort, But just going back to Skip, I don't think he had a fair do with us. We were playing in Ndidi, who for me was absolutely shite last season. If we can get 9 million for him, yes, please, somebody come in and take him. I think in the second tier, Skip will do very, very well. But he wasn't, what I'm looking for. He wasn't used that often. And let's be honest with you, whoever you put into that team last season, you tell me anybody that wasn't shit. And I'm going to include Hermansen in that. When he came back from his injury, he was. And I'm going to include El Canoes in that as well. He was the best player we had. But that's like saying that's the best turd in the cow field. You know what I mean? No, it is, though, because they were all turds, and no, he wasn't, Fox. Did we see enough of him?
But you can polish your turd, though, can't you, Chris?
Well, allegedly. I mean, if we take on what everybody's saying here, look, Fox, I'm not, it's your opinion and you're very entitled to it, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't say don't have an opinion. It's fair enough and I respect it. But if I take what everybody's attitude was to the likes of some players last season, then technically, who was our striker? Oh my God, I can't believe my mind's gone blank.
Vardy?
No, next to Vardy, that we sold. Oh my God.
Striker, how many years ago was that?
We signed him from Manchester City.
Oh, Iheanacho.
Iheanacho, that's it. Iheanacho, yeah. Tom typed cannoning because it was easier to spell. But no, if we take that thing, then Iheanacho, thank you, Vicky, Iheanacho was shit. Because he used to come on for 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game and sometimes not even touch the ball. So he only got good and he became our top scorer when he was played regularly. And those players like Skip weren't being played regularly, and they had a fucking penis head as a manager trying to tell them what to do. And a couple of times when he played with Winks, they actually did team up quite well. So don't tell me that he's it's only my opinion. It's only my opinion, but I don't think he was as bad as people say. And I've got to say, Fox, let's end that with saying we agree. Sumari he's still a turd, but he's a double turd. I mean, if we can get rid of him, please. It says here though.
Just warn him that Brad will be stalking him if he says too much.
I think Brad has lost all hope with Sumari as well.
But he had things with Iheanacho. He had it's like Dakar. So Dakar, like Rude was really into Dakar. He wanted to sign him at PSV. And Dakar, all his stats, like Sumari, all his stats were like because all the people that've got all the stats on all these players, all the clubs have got all the stats on all the players, and some of these people like Iheanacho, they was touted to be like world-class strikers in the making. Like Dakar, he got all the speed, everything, but his touch was woeful. You get sat in your Sunday Park football or 15-year-old kids with a better ball control and sort of just being calm in front of goal. But like with Skip and that, I mean, I wasn't a fan of signing Skip because I actually have not. Skip brings back nightmare memories for me, Chris, because I once before it was insisted by law that lights were attached to them. I actually reversed down the side of a Skip once and completely took out the side of my car.
No, that's unfair. Come on, you cannot blame Oliver Skip for your bad driving. I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's unfair. I'm not having that. No, I'm not letting you.
But even was it you who said about? One of my customers said about Winks. He says when Winks signed for Leicester, he says, "Oh yeah, apparently he insisted on the number 40 for his shirt."
Who? Skip?
Winks.
Number 4. Oh God. Oh Jesus. You've been on this channel too long. Your jokes are as bad as mine now. You know what I mean? We've worn you down, Wayne. We've brought you down to our level.
As Tom and Fox, the guys say, it's the contracts, isn't it? The contracts have been hard.
It is, but you know, it's a case of we've got to get these players, and if they say, "Yeah, I'll come to you, but I want a 5-year contract," let's be honest with you, we are not Premier League champions. Yeah, we've got a lovely new training ground, but so fucking what? We shit on the pitch. We're in the second tier. If we want a particular player, we have to kind of agree with it. But I don't know. Skip might come into his own. Sumari, I think he should be in the same huge box that phases in and mail them out somewhere.
Yeah, but he was touted as potentially one of Europe's top midfielders. The thing is, you have to take chances because we can't afford to spend £50 million on the player.
Yeah. Oh no, you're right. Leicester City should rescue former 29 Championship striker from overseas nightmare. Now we haven't got a striker at the moment. We've got Jake Evans, but. Danny Roll is a favourite to become the manager, it says here, and his first business should be to find a replacement for Vardy, definitely. Now, the one that they're recommending is Chuba Akpom. What a name. Chuba. Come on, Chuba. Chuba Akpom is a name that people at Leicester will know well after reports from The Telegraph suggested in January, not The Telegraph, The Telegraph, that Fox were going to make him an offer for the former Arsenal Academy graduate. That didn't happen, and Akpom joined Lille on loan, but he's returned to Ajax, where things have taken a turn for the worse. Akpom, who joined Ajax in 2023 after scoring 29 goals for Middlesbrough, returned to the Dutch Giants to told he's one of 7 players that would be ostracised from the first team via a WhatsApp message, according to reports in the Netherlands. So, if he's being ostracised from the team, they probably don't want much for him because they want him off the books. And if he can score 29 goals for Middlesbrough, I wouldn't mind this guy.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. And the thing is, it's like people have been saying to me, Vardy is gone. That is full stop. So what do you do from now on? And some people said towards the end, is Vardy stopping other people being signed? And one thing with Vardy is like some people said with Dakar, so would Dakar have developed more if Vardy wasn't number 1 and you know, Daka was like his confidence side of things. But I do think in the team we've got in the Championship, someone like this guy, could definitely bag 20 goals next season.
Yeah. Well, Tom says he's not keen, but under Michael Carrick's guidance, Akpom was able to win the Championship Golden Boot back in April 2023. Like you say, there's no Jamie Vardy to fight your place for. And we know Daka is at the moment is the only probably striker we can play unless we play in the youngsters. And he couldn't hit, he couldn't score in a bottle, as they say. But I would welcome this guy with open arms. And the problem we're going to have to accept when we do sign this striker, what I don't want to hear is, well, he's no Jamie Vardy, is he? Oh, Jamie Vardy wouldn't have missed that. Fuck Jamie Vardy, he's gone. We love him to bits, but he's gone. It was the same when every winger we got, well, he's no Riyad Mahrez, is he? Riyad Mahrez would do this. Well, fuck, we haven't got Riyad Mahrez anymore. So we've got to take what we can get. Do you know what I mean? But no, I'd like him, and I don't think they'd want much for him.
The thing with Daka is he got the speed, and he did score a wonder goal, didn't he, in the Championship, where he cut the ball on the outside of his foot, beat his man, and ran and whacked it in the top corner. But it's his lack of control, his spatial awareness, and in the box, and ability to say the top strikers or the top in any game, they're able to, at the moments where it's like, oh, I need to just breathe and stay calm and to make the right decision. And Daka just hadn't got that. So if you get somebody like even Armstrong from Southampton, he might be a bit slower now, but he, in a team in the Championship, he will probably bag 10 or 15 goals. And
but we know that Daka won't because he didn't last time. He
hasn't got the touch. He hasn't got the spatial awareness in the box, and he is not calm in front of goal.
No. This shocked me when it came up. Leicester City takeover decision expected by this date amid £200 million King Power claim. Now, what the story was, as we know, this goes back to when we had the news about King Power being in financial trouble. And they were talking about them selling the club because we still a reasonably sell about Africa. Now, this is Championship or EFL football finance expert Adam Williams provided an update on the situation regarding this club's owners. This was on the 1st of July. And he thinks that it is an option for King Power if they are struggling to sell Leicester City. Let's be honest with you, they get more for us than they probably will be for OH Leuven. Or he could be looking for a joint investor. Because, like I say, King Power themselves as a company don't own anything of Leicester. It's all Top's family that own. He owns 50-odd%, and then between the rest of them, they own the other bits. Michael, you say that, but you've got to take the good times with the bad times. And, we are going through a bad time. And I'm not going to sit here and go, well, he's not his father. And, he wasn't the same after his father passed and all that. They went through a pandemic. If you're, Saudi Arabia wasn't particularly hit by the global pandemic. Tourism was, and King Power was, and he's had he's got a lot of things wrong, but we've also got to remember he's got a lot of things right. And we can't carry on saying for the rest of our lives, when we're in the conference, remember when we won the Premier League under this guy, but I don't know whether I want him to sell the club. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I will say. But maybe just get somebody in to help him out. Again, going back to Villa. Aston Villa to avoid PSR punishment. Was this what PSR was designed for? This was, of course, the selling the ladies' football team to themselves. I mean, it's a joke, this PSR. And I know it's the last season of PSR, and then it's coming in to this new it's another acronym for it, but it's where you can spend a percentage of the cost of players. I don't understand it. But this PSR, it's ruined the game, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, Chris, when I sent you the message about that and you texted me about saying it's a joke, I thought you meant it was a wind-up joke.
No, it was a joke. I mean,
Yeah,
PSR's a fucking joke.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in business. So there's Brian Eno, from Roxy Music, and he's basically really campaigning for people like with a lot of money to pay more tax. And he's saying, there's rules like if you earn £10 million, you only start paying tax over 10 million. Some of the figures you're thinking that's crazy. And he said it's always people with more money that are greedy and they want more money. He says in the setup, all these accounting rules are just there, designed by people with a lot of money to keep all the money and not share it out. And I think it's exactly the same with the PSR. And it's rumoured, isn't it, that somebody, when Leicester won the Premier League, was it one of the clubs or something in a meeting saying that we've got to make sure that this never
allegedly a Manchester City director.
And with what's happening with the Manchester PSR, 9-year amortised contracts, you're thinking, Chelsea, you're thinking, what the fuck's happening here? What is happening? It's literally it's like all the working class people pay full tax, and I think I worked it out once. I think you pay about over 50% tax off your fuel, everything like that. Yeah, I'll tell you now, the people with businesses and owners, they won't be paying 50% tax on all the money, guaranteed. Yeah. So it's unfair. It's unfair, Chris. It's like Newcastle, the grandson and the son-in-law support Newcastle. They've been really hamstrung, hamstrung.
But I get what you're saying, and fair play to Newcastle because they've stuck within PSR rules. Valtieri, is saying PSR is ruining the beautiful game, and I said this right at the start. It isn't a sport anymore. I'm sorry, and if you should be saying, I don't know why they don't do this. Like you say, they should. Every owner of every club from whatever division they're in, and obviously it goes on, the higher up the pyramid you are, the more you put in it, but they put money into a backup fund. So they did this with tour operators. I worked in the travel business with ABTA, Association of British Travel Agents. Any tour company that wanted to operate and have an ABTA license had to put X amount of money into this fund. So if, for example, if you remember, there's a company called Intersun Holidays. They went out of business. If that happens and you'd booked through an ABTA travel agent or the tour company that went bust was an ABTA tour company, you either got your money back if you hadn't gone, or if you were away, you were brought back. So you were not out of pocket at all. Why can't they do something like that with football, where the owners, and obviously, like I say, it would be more for Manchester City than it would be, say, for Rochdale, but they put the money into this pot to cover companies if they were to sort of go out of business. Or the other side of it is, why not just let company, if somebody very rich buys a football club, let them spend whatever they want to. And let them go out and, all right, I know it's saying, well, that's unfair because they've got more money than us. Well, we should be making ourselves more attractive to foreign or English investment. Look at Wrexham. Would they have done what they'd done without two famous American film stars pumping money in, and attracting the name? So why shouldn't they be allowed to spend money if they want to?
Well, what about Abramovich? All the years of Chelsea's success under Abramovich. And it's ironic that Chelsea's still probably spending the same amount of money, but they've got clever ways of doing it. So.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I just think I think clubs are being punished for trying to and I don't think necessarily, look, how much money has Manchester City spent and what did they win this year? So spending money, buying big name players, doesn't guarantee you success. Manchester United tried it for years pre-Alex Ferguson, and they could never topple Liverpool. So, but anyway.
But one thing is, I did some research on what are the most, so because fans were saying, oh, Leicester, we've signed a load of crap. And saying, and they're quite critical, but thinking, well, no, we signed El Canoes, we signed Fatawu, found with signed Hermanson. I did actually do some research thinking, are fans well grounded or right to be criticising the club for not signings? And basically, it's only when you get spending 30 or 40 million pounds or 50 million pounds where you have quite a good success rate of maybe 45%. If you're spending a lot less than that, you have a really low success rate. So the more money it's like anything they say, the more money you've got, the better quality you can buy, and you have greater chances of success.
Yeah.
Oh,
I agree. Tom says here it's daft. Just do a limited wage budget per squad. And I think the new thing that's replacing PSR is something to do with wages. The problem you've got is if you suddenly are not able to spend X amount on wages, that player might go to a Bayern Munich or a Real Madrid rather than a Premier League. And then that devalues the Premier League, as something you want to watch. If we didn't have all these...
And that's the rub, Chris. That's the crux of the thing, isn't it? Exactly what you said.
Yeah. That's why the Premier League has got all that money, because it is so sellable around the world. But you take all the stars out of it, and who's going to want to watch it? But final thing tonight, and this came up today. In the next 8 weeks, or the first 8 weeks of the season, we've got 3:00 Saturday kickoff. I'm not surprised at this, because this kind of happened last time we went down. Look, in the Premier League, we are a small fish in that pond. In the Championship, we are, let's be honest with you, one of the big fish. Maybe not as big as we think we are, but we are, in the last 10 years, we've won the Premier League, or 11 years, we've won the Premier League and the FA Cup. We got through to a quarter-final of the Champions League and the semi-final of the European Conference, and lost out to the winners. So we're a fairly big fish. So we are going to be... obviously, as somebody who isn't a season ticket holder and lives a 7-hour return journey away and doesn't own a car anymore, I'm quite happy with this. But, don't start me off with the, I think they should have the 3 p.m. kickoffs on TV as well, but there we go. But what are your thoughts on this? We have got, well, let me tell you, I shall tell you, young man, let me tell you the games that we are being put on telly for. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday, and maybe they know the something that we don't. But so we've got Sheffield Wednesday on Sunday the 10th of August, away at Charlton for some reason on Saturday the 23rd of August. That's a bit of a strange one. 29th of August, Friday night, 8 p.m, Birmingham City at home. We're at home, Leicester versus Birmingham City. I can see why they've done that one. Saturday the 13th of September, 12:30, Oxford hosting Leicester. Not sure, again, why we've got that one. And Leicester Coventry, again, I understand that one, on Saturday the 20th at 12:30. And another Friday night on the 26th of September, 8 p.m, away at West Brom. Yeah, again, I get that more than I get Charlton and Oxford, because obviously, we're expected to be doing well, and West Brom are expected to do that. This didn't surprise me when it came out. Did it surprise you at all?
No, and the thing is, I noticed last year the Premier are basically getting into the same format as the Premier League for like rearranging fixtures and showing the midweek, Friday, Saturday. So, you know what I mean? They're kind of creating that package, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. They are. Sky Sports are showing a lot of EFL games next season. They've said that as a package. And, so I guess sort of, you don't... when we were in the Premier League, you had to probably sign up to TNT and Amazon Prime as well. Now, I'm in Amazon Prime for delivery, so I get those matches free. But at least, we know it's all going to be on Sky Sports, and the Huddersfield game as well. In the Fizzy Pop Cup, that's on Sky, but every game apparently in that is on Sky on the different channels. I'm surprised that Oxford hosting Leicester, Charlton hosting
One or
Leicester.
two strange ones there,
I mean, Charlton's a promoted team, so I guess relegated team versus promoted. But I mean, Oxford, they were just sort of mid-table. So, but
Sky might be breaking into the Championship because other TV companies are starting to take over the Premier League, aren't they? You know, like Amazon.
Well, I must admit, ITV's coverage of the Championship last time we were down was fucking awful. You had about 2 minutes a game. It was
ridiculous.
Yeah. They should have had separate programmes, one for the Championship, one for the League One, and one for League Two. But ITV have never been that particularly good at doing football, have they? Tell you one thing, it does say. I want to say
about that, Chris. Ian St John. And who was it? Ian St John and St Greaves there. St Greaves.
All right, okay, but that was a football panel show. I'm on about showing. No, I know. I get what you mean. That was back in the day. I'll give you that one. But generally speaking, their football coverage is not the best.
It's crap, Chris.
Yeah, but it still kind of shows that Leicester City, are a big club. They want to be showing us.
Well, we are at the beginning of the season. Let's see 10 games in, Chris.
This is true. Right. Just as a very quick last-minute check before you go, let us have a look and see.
No manager announced yet, Chris?
Well, exactly. No. Leicester City received Chris Wilder thumbs up as conditions laid out. Somebody who's now a two-bit punter has said that he'd be a good fit for the job, but that's it. No, still nobody.
Chris Wilder himself had done a photo of him putting his thumbs up for Leicester.
No. I don't think it would be him. I'm not particularly keen on Chris Wilder. I think the thing we've got to say is, though, whoever comes in, let's give them our support.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. And I hope, that's one thing I don't hope the role, because I want role, definitely always have done, but I hope the role wanters, if someone like Dyche is appointed, I really hope they don't start getting on him and, you get young fans down the KPs, not young fans, sorry, some fans down the KP, and it can be quite toxic, and you just hope it doesn't happen. No.
Let's be honest with you. I honestly think the fans drove Cooper out.
I think, they took part in that.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying there's no way we will know if Cooper would have kept us up. We've no idea of knowing that. I doubt it, but the gap may have been a little bit tighter. And that's why I wanted Cooper, because I was hoping he could do what he did. He kept Forest up after a points deduction. I wanted it to have been funny if he'd kept us up and Spurs went down.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, what was the net result of getting rid of Cooper and appointing Ruben Nistelrooy?
Exactly. So we don't want to bring Sean Dyche in, give him the money to bring a few players in that he wants, to then 10 weeks into the season sack him and bring somebody else in that plays again yet another different style, or going back to the 4-2-3-1 style, and it all could look. Yeah, that's what fucked the season up.
If that happens, I think we are damned as a club. Basically, I think we're really going to be something.
I honestly think you are. Patrick Agyemang. He's signed agreed personal terms with Derby after a deal was struck with Charlotte FC. Ooh. No news on Sky either. It does hurt when you go onto Sky. Oh, an agreement was reached between Brighton and Leicester for first-team coach Geraldine Ruwailer to lead the King Barrow and take up a new role with the Seagulls.
Oh, that was rumoured, wasn't it?
Yeah. That he was the number. He was like the number 2, I guess, but he wasn't really a proper number 2. He was more of a goalkeeping coach, which I think is what he's going to Brighton for. And whoever comes in will probably want to bring their own team in anyway, So, thank you to everybody that's been watching. Guys, as it says there, 6 o'clock on Monday, we are doing the prediction show. It is new format, new rules. You have to message me and ask me to join. Not just expect because you were in it last year. And if you were in it last year and sort of 8 games before the end of the season you stopped doing it, something like that, you're not going to be allowed in this season because it just takes the piss out of us, really. If you're going to come in, you're committing to doing the whole season. It's going to be completely different next year. Just teasing you there, but what's going to happen? 6 o'clock on Monday, you will find out. And up until then, of course, tomorrow, join us from 11:30. So we'll probably be talking about roll for an hour before. From 11:30, myself and Tom with the watch along, and at half time as well. And then we've got this gentleman here, along with who else is joining us? There'll be me, Tom Wayne, Reese, and Uncle Clibbo.
Hey.
I love that. I don't know. My mind is going different places. Hello, Uncle Clibbo. Would you like a sweetie? I'm sorry, Clibbo, if you're looking. You got to give me your real name. Give me something to go on. Right, sir. Thank you very much, Wayne. I do appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow. Football's back.
Hey, let's get it on.
Yes. And, of course, tomorrow night, the Lionesses.
Yes. Could they do it, Chris?
Can they? Well, they've already done it, I guess. But, yes, if they do, it says something about the England men's team, I think, doesn't it? But thanks to everybody that was in the chat. Smash the likes button. Really do appreciate it. And that really does help the channel if you do that. Thank you also if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe as well. We've actually jumped up quite a bit this week, so thank you very much for all your support. I will always wear it. Be sure to share and click that notification bell. And if you have been listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Wayne, all the best, mate, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. And thanks everybody that was in the chat. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.